I want you to imagine that your life is a movie and it's created by an infinite filmmaker, and there's no limit to what it can create in your movie called life. That's what we're going to explore today on the Release the Genie Within podcast. So welcome to the Release the Genie Within podcast. Today we're going to be speaking with Miss Deborah Gayle. She's a religious science practitioner. It's associated with the Founders Church and Agape Spiritual Center in Culver City, but they're no longer in Culver City. They're in Beverly Hills.
They're in Beverly Hills.
Yeah. And so so you've been telling me, Ms. Gayle, that you, can I call you Deborah?
Absolutely.
Okay, Deborah. That you've been practicing these principles for over 40 years now. And so you want to tell me a little bit about how you first got introduced to the Church of Religious Science and the teachings of Ernest Holmes?
How it's happened was, to start off, I have to say I was an atheist. I didn't believe in God. I had been raised in, I had been on a search as a kid looking for a different kind of church, but all of it didn't work for me. So I was pregnant with my first child. And when my son was born, I had kind of an awakening. It was very clear to me that the ideas that I had about life wasn't accurate, that there was more to life once I gave birth. And so what happened after that was my father-in-law was coming over on Sundays, because my husband didn't work on Sundays. He'd come over to visit the baby after church and drop little nuggets of information about spirit without giving me everything. And so because I'm a very inquisitive, I kept asking questions. I said, well, tell me more. And he said, no, I'll tell you next week. Don't worry about it. I'll tell you next week. And during that time of him doing that with me, there was a woman who I had known growing up as a teen who was a practitioner. I didn't even know what a practitioner was. And she came to the house to visit the baby. And she had come by on a Sunday after church, and she was telling me about her church and what they believed. And she was telling me that, no, we don't believe in two powers. We don't believe there's God and the devil. My minister believes that life is good. We believe that we can change your world by changing the way you think. And she just started telling all these things. And I was like, where is this church? What is this? And she told me the name of the church. I said, where is it? And then the next Sunday, I bundled up the baby and we went to church. And when I walked in and I heard what it was almost like little crumbs had been laid out for me. It's like, oh my God, this is it. And the other thing that I didn't share with you is I told you I was an atheist. When we named our son, what we named our son was Zaid Chike Fanon Gayle, because we were revolutionaries, child of the 60s, that kind of stuff. And his name meant growth or strength in the power of God. And we were like, why are we naming him stuff that has to do with God? That's okay, because we like the name. We like some of the other parts of the name. So it's like the birth of my son brought us to, and brought me to, spirituality. Because of his birth, I went on a path to explore spirit and religious science.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what was it about this teaching that most intrigued you? The fact that there's not two powers, power for good and a power for evil, or the fact that there's this one power and one presence that we have access to?
Fact that, number one, I never believed in sin. There was just something about the idea of sin, that you could do something and you can anger God. I didn't understand that. So the fact that this teaching taught that God was love, that God is for you and not against you, and that you are God's beloved in whom he is well pleased, and that some of the other things that I had been taught was that you were born in sin and you have to, do this. And it was just a lot of heaviness. And when I walked in this church, there was a light, there was a different perspective, and it didn't seem superstitious. It seemed to make sense to me.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this makes sense. I understand it now. Whereas before, I always had, well, what is this? What are you talking about? So, and the idea that God is good and God is love was everything to
Yeah.
me. It was
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. God is good. God is love. You know, I often talk about it as if it's the love intelligence of the universe, that there's an intelligence behind everything, and it is all based on love. Growth and life and everything is based on love.
Yeah, I think sometimes we have experiences that God is love, but sometimes in our quest to understand and know love, we sometimes experience things that make us want to desire love even more because we experience what love is not. And so it gives us more, this is just my opinion, it gives us more of a desire to want to know love because the feeling of what love is not is for the human spirit kind of crushing.
Yucky.
Kind of yucky. It doesn't feel good. But I have never talked to anybody who did not feel great when they were in love, or they love. Everybody feels great when they're in love. They just feel great. So to know that that is God and even more is incredible.
Yeah, I can see that, because if love is God, if it's the love intelligence of the universe, then I can see where that feels good, because by being in love, you're being connected to that divine presence, which is love. And being in hatred or anger or resentment, that just separates you from it, the pure love. So, you know, there's this whole idea of we are spiritual beings living a physical experience, and by far the greater part of us is spiritual. And so what is that part of us that's spiritual? You want to speak on that a little bit?
Sure. The idea is that God is, well, first I have to start with what is God? God is everything. God is the all of life. God is everything seen and unseen. God is the infinite creator of all. And it kind of also speaks to my scientific mind, you know, and quantum physics, that there is this presence and this field of love, which, you know, we can call God, or we can call the quantum field, we can call it whatever we want, but it's present in and as everything. And because it's part of everything, and we are here, we are part of it. We are the thing itself. And we're never separate from it. But because we are creative beings made of the stuff that is the stuff of the creator, we can choose to not see and experience something separate from what we are. We can choose to do that. We can choose to be in poverty. We can choose to be sad. We can choose these things.
Yeah.
But I think that the ultimate is always our goal. We choose these things, and then we get to see how we experience that. And it's always, I think, leading us back to the understanding of who we really are, so that we can experience life in our true, I call it the big R, the big reality, not the reality that we see, but the big reality, which is the reality of this abundant, magnificent life that we have, and we're connected to the one life, and to everything. And so we are magnificent beings. I know one of the affirmations I say every morning is that I am a limitless being, and that's what I am. That's what we all are. We're limitless.
Yeah.
But if we don't choose to see it, we don't experience that limitlessness.
Yeah.
We experience what we believe.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's something you just said. If we don't choose to see it, then we aren't unlimited. And that just relates to me to that your awareness of your connection to this divine presence is the thing that allows you to be unlimited. And if you don't have an awareness of that, if you're an atheist or you just don't believe in that, then then that whole thing you were talking about, the life that you're looking at, it's just an illusion anyways. And the only way you can really see through the illusion is through this spiritual awareness. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and for me too, I also think that even the people who think that they're separate from God, or think that, like they don't even believe in God, or they're having an experience that's not inspired and directed by the Holy Spirit, they're still connected to God. That is their reality. It's almost like, I love this analogy I've heard a lot in churches about, and some of the religious science churches about, you're an eagle as a bird, but you're living with the chickens.
Yeah.
You have the ability to fly.
Yeah.
You could do all that, but you think in your mind you're a chicken. And so you are on the ground with the chickens, but that's not who you really are. Yeah. So my goal every day is to peel back the illusion of who I think I am and to live who I really am.
Yeah. Yeah. A unique, individualized emanation of the Creator itself.
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about was the man from Jerusalem who said, "Seeking you shall find, knocking it shall be open, asking you shall receive, seeking you shall find, knocking it shall be open." I guess that's the way it goes. Yes. Let's talk about the man from Jerusalem. I grew up a Catholic. I also was into a Christian community, and I've come to believe that he was the great way shower. He was the great example and not the exception, is what Reverend Michael Beck would say. You just said something earlier that made me think about my belief, which is that whatever he can do, we can do more.
Right.
Only he was at such a high spiritual awareness of his connection with the divine that he could just say, "Pick up your pallet and walk. Lazarus, come forth. Feed the hungry.
Right.
The lame walk." And so, do you think we can walk on water? We could?
What I believe is, like, it's something that you said, that the world that we live in is something that we've all agreed upon. We've all agreed that you can do some things and you can't do others.
Yeah.
We've agreed.
Yeah.
It seems like the man from Jerusalem didn't have that belief.
Yeah.
And because he didn't have that belief, he didn't have that experience. So what I believe is if there's this old Funkadelics song that says, "Free your mind and your ASS will follow." So your butt will follow. So that's what I believe. I believe if we free our understanding, we free our minds and our beliefs, then we're able to experience the allness and the fullness of the Holy Spirit for us. I think about it. If you think 150 years ago, nobody thought that we'd be flying in planes.
Yeah.
Or driving cars.
Yeah.
Or in my lifetime, fax machines or computers, all of those things were just unheard of and unthought of. So I just think, what else is it that we are able to do, that we are opening ourselves up to? So we are saying, well, what if, can I walk on water? What is it that I can heal? Can I heal? And there have been experiences of people healing, physically healing someone. I don't know about anybody raising anyone from the dead. And my favorite one is, can somebody please turn water to wine, the really good kind of wine? So that,
yeah,
that I really appreciate. But
haven't been able to do it though.
Yeah, but my thing is, and that's just a joke, but it's like, we don't know what we can do.
Yeah, it's unlimited.
We have no idea, because we have the ideas of the world pressing in on us that we have agreed to.
Yeah.
And then there is another reality that we get to choose. And how do we choose that? And what do we say yes to? And, I believe that humans are unlimited in what they can do as they become closer to understand who they really are.
Yeah. I often say in my in my infinite filmmaker teachings, I use the metaphor that your life's a movie created by an infinite filmmaker, and there's no limit to what you can be doing having your movie called life. And we'll talk about the principles a little later. But
Right.
one of the things I wanted to say was that if we are unlimited, and we believe we are unlimited, and we believe that we could walk on water, we believe that we could move a mountain, then we would be able to do it. Now, my thing is that what's going on now, it's like the discovery of fire, or that the earth is round. We're discovering, we're just beginning to wake up to what Jesus, the man from Jerusalem, was talking about over 2,000 years ago. We're just beginning to understand that. Can you imagine when everybody catches on to this and starts to use this consciousness? Then we're going to have a changed world. Marianne Williamson teaches the Course in Miracles, which is a way, what you were talking about, change your thinking, change your mind. Stop buying into the illusion of what's going on around you. And the Course in Miracles helps you do that. As a matter of fact, she's running for president.
Yay, again. Yes, I'm so happy.
Yeah, that's really good. We really need someone like her. And I have to put that pitch in there for her. Go vote, Marianne Williamson. But anyways, I think if anybody can change the consciousness of this planet and the people, I think she's the one to do it.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. She's a great orator. But anyway, so let's talk about that whole idea that whatever he can do, we can do, and we can do more. Have you had any experiences with that, where miracles happened in your life because you believed they would?
Yeah. Well,
demonstrations, I guess.
This is a demonstration that I had. I was not really a big person who traveled a lot. For whatever reason, I didn't believe that I had the means or the ability to travel. I had that belief. And one Sunday I was sitting in church at Agape, and someone came up to say, "Oh, we are going to Barbados. Who would like to, come to Barbados?" And I heard in my ear, sign up for the trip. It's like, sign up for the trip. Okay. I mean, I didn't have a passport. I had never traveled out of the country. I just hadn't done that. So I said, okay. Okay, I'm going to do it. So I went and I signed up, and I gave the woman $50 because that was the least amount you can do. And in my mind, $50 was reasonable. But whatever, I thought that traveling was just out of my realm of experience. So I didn't think about it. And she called me, I think 2 weeks before the trip. Before the money was due. Said, "Well, you haven't made any other payments. And the payment is due this day at this time," which was in a week on a Friday. And I was like, "Well, I don't have that kind of money." And then I said, "Okay, look, God, you told me to sign up for this trip. You told me to go. So guess what? You got to figure it out because I don't have the money. I don't have that." And I was a teacher at the time, and I went to a meeting, and I had worked on this organization helping out in education in different ways. And, I just gave service. And when I came to the meeting, I came a few minutes late, and the woman who was leading the meeting said, "Oh, here's your envelope. We found some extra money to give to people. Want to thank you guys for all the service you've given over this last year." It was the exact amount I needed for the trip.
Yeah.
Exactly the amount.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, God. Okay, I get it. I get it. And to me, that was a huge miracle at the time. And it shifted my thought about who I was, shifted my thought about abundance, shifted my idea about who God was. And it shifted my idea about trust and faith
Yeah.
in the spirit. It changed everything.
Yeah.
And it happened the day I got it on a Thursday. The money was due the next day.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, there we go.
Okay, I want to talk about this. This is really interesting because I believe that infinite intelligence that knows all, is all, does all, sees all, throws these opportunities at us. There's good. Our good is always knocking on our door. We just have to open the door. We can either open the door and follow through with that still small voice inside that says, hey, go ahead, sign up. And then through an act of faith, you sign up, knowing that somehow or another you're going to be going on this vision. You probably thought about it for a long time. You probably envisioned it, and you probably planned it, and went out and bought new clothes, had your hair done, or whatever. But infinite intelligence, I believe, knew that already had it in place, that money coming into you. In other words, you could have taken another route and said, I don't have the money, and not get the money, but infinite intelligence knew your needs even before you asked for them. And you know what I'm saying? There's no time in the mind of the infinite. There's no time and space. And like we're confined, we're constricted by space and time. But the infinite intelligence is not. The future and the past and the present, it's all just one thing happening. And so I believe, and I know I've had experiences like that too. One time I wanted to go to USM for a spiritual master's in spiritual psychology course. You have a license in that?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I always wanted to go there, and I talked all my friends into going, Mara Grace and my friend Mary Ann, and I just always made up the excuse I didn't have any money, it was too expensive, or I didn't have the time, I was working, whatever it was, I made excuses. And then one time, my friend who went there, we went to lunch once, and all her friends from USM were there. And they said, Richard, you should go apply, because they give grants and stuff too, scholarships. And so I went down there to talk to them. They said, no, we don't give scholarships. Other people contribute scholarships to certain people, but we don't give scholarships. And so then I started thinking, oh, okay, well, that's too bad. But I still had in the back of my mind that I was going to get the money to go there. I went to shoot Jim Carrey. It was an interview, behind-the-scenes interview with Jim Carrey. And there was a big event. There were all spiritual filmmakers there and stuff. And because Jim Carrey is very spiritual. And I went over to one of the tables, and there was this woman there who I knew. I used to, when I first moved out to LA 27 years ago now, I used to go to a house called the Sacred Space up in the valley, and people would come and speak and would all like be in this consciousness, awareness, and grow together. And so she was there, and I hadn't seen her in years. And I was telling her that she went to USM, and I was telling her that, I want to go to USM. Nobody's giving scholarships and stuff, and they're not giving them. And her face dropped, and she's looking at me like this. And I went, did I say something wrong? What's the look for? And she said, oh, my God. My husband and I were just talking. We give scholarships every year. And my husband just 2 days ago said, what about that guy Richard you used to know years ago? Maybe he'd want a scholarship to USM. And I'm going to cry thinking about it. That is a demonstration. That is infinite intelligence, knowing your needs even before you ask for them. What is the coincidence that Mara Grace, who I haven't seen in years, would be at this place volunteering and selling cookies or whatever? I don't know. But it's like miracles happen every day. It's all going on around you. Everything is conspiring for your highest good. So
absolutely.
My question for you is, how do you recognize these gifts? Do you follow your intuition, which I believe is God speaking to you? Is like your incident there to go on the trip. What was it inside that told you to do this? And did you have fear, doubt, and worry that you weren't going to be able to get the money?
You know what? What I had was, I didn't have a belief that I was a traveler. That's what I didn't have. I had money to do other things. I really did. I really did. I was doing things, but I didn't have the belief that I was a traveler. I didn't have a belief that these narrow ideas about who I was as a woman, who I was as a Black woman, who I was, my experience. I was pushed up against all those ideas. And I was like, oh, well, I don't travel. That doesn't happen for me like that. And I think that because I was on the path of expanding and growing, that I heard this this direction.
Yeah.
To apply and what to sign up for the trip, and I did. And once I signed up, the first when I signed my name and I gave the $50 is like, okay, and I forgot about it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I completely forgot about it because I still had those beliefs. But what happened was, because I said yes and because I took action, I was vibrating at a different level. I believe that we're vibrational beings. I believe that we send out this vibe because they talk about the quantum field and the vibrational field and the vibration that we have around us. I think we send out certain vibrations, and the vibration, I'm also a scientist at heart, that when we send out certain vibrations match what we're vibrating as and at.
Yeah.
So because of that, you were in the space because you were vibrating at that level, and that person was vibrating at that level to want to give. And so of course you would meet because there was a vibrational match. And we can call it God, we can call it a vibrational match, we can call it the quantum field, we can call it a miracle, we can call it a lot of different things. But the fact of the matter is, you set an intention to go. That's what you had in your heart. She had set an intention to give money for someone to go. That's what she had in her heart. And then you meet.
Yeah.
And because you meet, that is like a matching of those vibrational intensities. Those vibrational intentions matched. And so it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So you work with clients as a practitioner.
Yes.
And so I work with mostly filmmakers, creators in the entertainment business.
Okay.
And what would you say to these filmmakers? This guy, he's got everything he needs to make his film except the money. And he's saying to himself, okay, let's say he's saying to himself, I don't have the money. It's really hard to raise money for films. Nobody wants to invest right now because of COVID. Nobody's shooting anything. The business has gone kaput. So how does somebody switch themselves around to get, like you say, in that vibration?
Right. So the first thing to realize is that we live in a universe that is not limited. There are no limits. There really are no limits. The limits are in our thinking and in what we accept. Just like me accepting that I don't travel.
Yeah.
That was my limit on my mind. So to think that there is no one who's going to produce, or nobody's going to give you money, nobody's doing this for COVID, it doesn't mean that COVID's not happening. It doesn't mean that certain conditions don't exist, but there is a belief that you have to understand that if you know who you are and you know what you believe, if you believe in your product and you walk in the faith believing that there is someone out there, out of the billions of people in the world, billions, and there's lots of people with money.
Yeah.
Lots of people with money who want to be and to support film, that you can't find one, you can't find two, that they're looking for you. So you have to just, number one, trust that and act as if. One of the things I used to love when I first went to religious science churches was the minister used to say, stop thinking that you don't have. Act as if you do. Walk as if you do. Dress as if you do. Speak as if you do. And this is not, make believe or fanciful thinking, but it is an acceptance at the level. That's what we teach in prayer, is to believe you already have. And if you believe you already have, then you're creating the conditions for what you're saying to take place in your life. So don't think of there being a limit.
But everything around you says there's a limit. I'm just playing the devil's advocate here.
No, and that's good. That's very good. But yes, of course, around you, people are saying there's a limit. But are there people who are getting movies done? Are there no more movies being done? Are there zero movies being done? Has the movie industry shut down? Is it gone now? That's not what's happening. So why not you and why not now?
Yeah. You know, I started working with this filmmaker, and he had everything in place, and I used his thing as an example. Everything in place. He had the actors, the script, they rehearsed, everything, but he didn't have the money to go ahead and shoot it, to get the equipment and stuff. So we did a treatment for him. And I just knew, I just felt it. I just said, it's done. So just act as if, like you say, and just go out, and what would the next step be for you to shoot your film? And so what happened was, I think he said he was at a cafe or somewhere, and somebody overheard him talking and come up to him and approached him and offered to buy all the equipment he needed for a partnership in the business with him. And so here he didn't get the money to rent the equipment. He got the equipment so he can shoot more films. And it always comes, this is something better shall come my way. Doesn't it? It's all, for me, every time I have a demonstration, it's even better than I imagined. You know, my wife was, she teaches after school art. And she, since COVID, her business went kaput and stuff. We're still trying to build it up. She was a little concerned about money, but my wife won't say, I'm worried, I'm concerned about money. She won't even go there. But when I know she says, I am abundant, she texts out a list, I am prosperous, all my needs are met, I am one with the infinite intelligence or whatever. I know that she was worried about it, but she's not going there. And right afterwards, we were ready to go to bed, and she got a text message. One of the parents said, LAUSD is going on strike. Can you take some courses, teach, after school art for 3 days? And she had 4 people. She's got now for 3 days, 16 people paying her a lot of money. She just made like tons of money just like that. Did she know that LAUSD, did God, infinite intelligence, know that everything was going to conspire to bring her highest good? No, she just had to not go there in the negative, in the fear, doubt, and worry, but go there in affirmations. So the reason I said this story is affirmations is super powerful. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Because what affirmations do is they realign your thinking. What they do is they take you out of the condition and into what's possible. Or really, not even what's possible, even what's real, because abundance is real. I mean, if you look at how I think about abundance, is that if you look at a tree, there's not one leaf on a tree. There's lots of leaves. There's abundance of blades of grass. There's just abundance everywhere. And what affirmations do is it recalibrates you, not from the condition, but into what is real, so that you are able to vibrate at the level of what it is you say you want. Yeah. And so that you can walk in that direction. Because if you continue to worry, what you're going to get is more of the not having.
Yeah.
You're going to get more of it.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, as practitioners, what we're told is, what we're doing is we're treating our consciousness. We have to know the truth about a client. We're treating our awareness so that we can know. If somebody comes to me and they say, well, I don't have any money, I have to know the truth about that person. And so I can pray for them, knowing the truth, and then give them affirmations to reinforce that for them. Because the affirmations really, really support us in blocking out what we think is real. it kind of stops us from the worry, going down the little rabbit hole of, oh, but this is what's happening and this is what's going on, and oh, it's a this and oh, it's a that, and oh, no. This is what I know. This is what I'm going to believe. This is what I accept. And when you accept that, that's what happens.
Yeah, that's why it's important, in using the case of the filmmaker without any money, it's important to have a practitioner like you to come to, because here's the thing. When I take this a little deeper, let's go a little deeper with this, that if you do a prayer treatment for somebody and you have that faith and belief and feel and go, it's done, it is done, and you just know, you get that click, the universe is going to conspire to give you what you believe, which is the prayer was answered. And right. So the other person doesn't even have to believe it. Right. As long as you believe it, that other right. person will demonstrate.
Absolutely.
Because it's measured according to your belief.
Right.
And if this person's belief is that, I can't have it, and you do a prayer treatment, all of a sudden, when I know I do treatments with people, all of a sudden the energy changes and they're like, yeah, I feel good. That's what it takes. Just shift your belief is so powerful. This is so negative, and fear, doubt, and worry. You just shift them a little bit, and at that instant, the demonstration is done. And then they just got to follow through and allow it to come into their life.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Absolutely. You just hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what happens. That is it.
Yeah. And even to healing people of sicknesses, of cancer and illnesses and disease and stuff like that, that if we believe it, years ago, my next door neighbor had cancer. One lung was missing and the other had a hole in it. I went to the hospital. I was praying under this risen Jesus figure at the church, and I had a vision to go to the hospital. And I didn't know anything back then. I wasn't even Christian. I was a Catholic. And I was told to go to the hospital. And when I went there, the wife was leaving. And she said, he's not going to live, but I'm going to go grab a bite to eat, and then I'll be back. But you don't have to, see him or anything. And I sneaked up there when she was gone. And I don't know what it was, but I was just like, I was holding him, and I don't know. I wasn't even praying because I didn't know how to pray back then. But something in me said that it was done, right? And then within no time, a week or so, he was better. And I lived there in the neighborhood for another 7 years, and he was still alive. So it's like, what is this thing that we have? Do we have the power? Is the power within us? So that's my question for you.
Well, asking that question is, the power is the one power that is the only power, which is the power of God. And they say God does not know inequity. God does not know illness. God does not know fear. God doesn't know that. And we are one with that presence, that power known as God. And so when we pray, knowing, we're tapping into that one power that knows and that heals and that creates the conditions for wholeness. So when we do that, I love the fact you said that something told you to go up there. And that something is always God. And you listened and you went and you followed and you did what you were directed to do. And then you saw the results of that. And that is a great metaphor for all of us, is that when we listen to that inner voice that gives us direction and tells us, go here, do this, say this. And you don't have to know why. You don't have to know the results, but you just follow through and do it. Then that means you're connecting to that one power that is the power of everything. That is within you, that is you, and that when you connect to that power, you now have the ability to use it. So, yes, we can heal. Yes, we can do these things when we understand, as I always say, understand who we are. There's an identity crisis with humanity. We don't know who we are. And when we know who we are, we'll act differently. Where it's not being the eagle in the little chicken coop. We'll start flying.
Yeah, when we know who we are, we're powerful beyond
Yes,
belief. You know,
right, exactly.
that still small voice within, that inner voice. So let's call it intuition for some
Yes,
people. They don't get a voice, they get intuition or an
yes.
image. I know that circumstance for me under the cross was, it was a bronze cross of a risen Christ. He was coming off the cross with the crown in his head, and I was praying underneath it. I must have fallen asleep because a piece of blood dripped down on my hand. And when I looked
Mm,
up, it told me to go to the hospital. And
mm,
then I realized that I was asleep because I woke up and there was no blood, there was nothing, right? But it's like, and this was before my filmmaker day, so I have a very vivid mind for seeing imagery and stuff like that,
right.
and that's probably why it came to me in that way. But it can come as intuition, it can come as a still small voice, it can come as a gut feeling. But do you think that that's God speaking to you? That's how God speaks to you, through your intuition and your gut feeling and your...
I absolutely do. And I believe that different people get it different ways. Like you had a vision. Some people hear, like I've heard voices before, you know. Um, I get it in dreams. Some people get a gut feeling, like they go to a place and they go, oh no, this is not right. And that they walk away from something or they walk to something. It's because God is infinite. There are infinite ways that God can speak to people.
Yeah.
Infinite ways. There is no one way. Some people call it the still small voice. Some people hear it auditorily. Some people feel it. Some people dream it. Some people, I mean, how many ways are there? That's how many ways you can get it. That's it.
So we say God speaks to us. You know, I was brought up a Catholic with us, as God was this man in the sky that would praise you when you did good and condemn you when you did bad. I still have a problem with that concept that when I hear the word God, about it brings me back to, like, is God looking
Right.
down on me? But it's this. What is it? Isn't it like it's everything, right? I mean,
It is. It is. And I like you. When I was a kid, I was a part of my family was into the of Catholicism. And so I used to love Catholic Church. I loved it. I would go to Mass. I loved the Mass, sitting down. I loved the sacredness and the standing and the sitting and the prayers. And I loved it. As a kid, I would go to Mass, even though I wasn't a Catholic. I hadn't been confirmed. I hadn't gone through. I loved it, though. I loved it. And so the idea about this God in the sky, this man, I also had that idea. So when I got the new idea, when I kind of switched over to think about God and not the traditional way, it sometimes is a thing of, because I've heard voices before, which makes me think, well, is God a person? Is God an entity? Or is it just, I mean, I don't know. Is it an entity that I'm hearing? Or is it an energy that I'm hearing? And what I've just come to do is just accept that man or humans in their wisdom to understand it, in their quest to understand this energy that is present, has given it, human qualities. They called it a man, or they've called sometimes mother, father, God. Even that doesn't sit well with me sometimes, because it's like man and woman. But to me, I feel more comfortable with God as an energy, a presence that is always present, that is available everywhere and in everything. And so even though I will say there are times when that idea of the man God comes in my head, it really does. I really sometimes get it, but it doesn't stick me anymore. It doesn't hold me back anymore. It's just like, okay, that's the idea I grew up with. That was the idea that I heard, but this is what I know about God. And even the word God, or the presence, or spirit, or this, I call it lots of things because
Yeah,
it
is
is
lots of
lots.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's everything. I've often heard Reverend Michael say that it has the ability to become the thing that it would like to create, that
Yes.
it is everywhere. And I know I was listening to Bashad years ago. He's a channeler. He
Mhm.
channels. And he was saying that what it is, it's like a one small little particle that moves so fast that it creates this world. It's one particle. Everything is really just one, but it's everywhere present all at the same time. And we see it according to our belief.
Yes.
Because we come into the world, let's face it, we come into the world, we're pure spirit. We
Yes.
come out of the birth canal, and all of a sudden we're in this, world, and then we start acclimating to, but we are pure spirit in the
Right.
beginning. And so it's a big job, especially at my age, to shift your thinking, change your life, change your
Right.
world.
Absolutely. And we we've been conditioned. I know religious science, they talk about race consciousness. They talk about the things that we have agreed to in our world. We agree about certain things. And so therefore, people will say, well, I can't do that. Or that doesn't work. Or, oh, I'm a woman. Women don't do that. Or I'm black. Or black people don't do that. Or I'm a man. Men don't do that. Or men don't feel like that. And I mean, we've agreed to things. But then what I love about life is that there's always somebody who breaks the agreement. There's always somebody in life that really shatters the agreement and points out to you, no, what you're thinking is not true. There's always an example of somebody who said, no, that's not true. They've moved forward and they've done something differently.
Love this whole idea of our oneness with this divine presence. I know this is, like I say, that like the beginning of like the discovery of fire, or that the earth is round. This is huge. And I'm glad that people like you are coming forward with this information and sharing it with others. I appreciate having you here on my Release the Genie Within podcast. And so grateful to be able to have you. And the intelligence, love intelligence was speaking through you today. I could feel it.
Well, thank you so much. It's been my pleasure. And I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to spend this time with you and to talk about what I love. And I could tell that you love it as well.
Great. And so how do people get in touch with you?
People can reach me through my email, debbiegale19@gmail.com. You can reach me there. I am available if you want to have a session or you want to talk with me, or that's where you can find me there.
Yeah. You talk about religious science practitioner. Some people don't know what that is. So when you say we can have a session, what is that? Can you explain a little bit about the work that you do with people?
Yeah, people who have issues in their life and want things to be different, and they want to heal those things, and they want to see life differently, come to work with me, and I assist them in knowing the truth about their life so that they can have different experiences of their life. They can kind of remove those limitations and those blinders that they put on themselves so that they can live in freedom and in grace and in ease and in beauty, so they can experience life full out loud.
Yeah, that's great. And Deborah, here's the thing with practitioners: they're connected to this power and this presence in a profound way, and through them you can be able to change your life.
Yes.
With a practitioner will help you work through your issues to bring your consciousness to one of unity rather than one of separation from this power and this presence that's in and as and through you. They light the fire within you. They light that spark and allow you to take it to the next level.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Deborah, thank you.
Thank you,
Many
Rich.
blessings. It was great talking to you. And I'll be in touch with you.
Absolutely. You take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah.